In continuation of the previous lectures where we are discussing about the infectious diseases, let us continue today also. What are infectious diseases? A little brushing up of it. The diseases which are caused by the pathogens and they are carried by the vectors from an infected person to a healthy person. In our previous lecture, we have discussed one such kind of infectious disease called as typhoid. Let us continue with it. Today we are going to discuss another disease which is infectious. It's called as pneumonia. Now, pneumonia, the causing organism of this infectious disease is Streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae. Basically, this pneumonia is a bacterial transmitted disease. It's a bacterial disease, but it can be viral or fungal also. But majorly, this disease is caused by the bacterial infection, and the major causes of them is Streptococcus and Haemophilus. In this case, in pneumonia, the target organ of these microorganisms is the respiratory system, and to be more specific, the part of the respiratory system which is infected is called as alveoli. Now, what happens that this particular disease, once it enters the human body, it goes directly from the conducting system, that is from the nostrils to the pharynx, to the larynx, to the trachea, to the bronchi, bronchioles, and then it reaches the alveoli. What are alveoli? We all know they are sac-like structures, and these bacteria, once they reach the alveoli, they start infecting the walls of the alveoli, leading to filling up of the alveoli with the fluid. Now, once the fluid gets filled up in the alveoli, we all know alveoli is an area where the exchange of gases occur. That is, when we inhale air which is rich in oxygen goes to the alveoli, and alveoli which are richly supplied with the blood vessels carry deoxygenated blood. So carbon dioxide from that deoxygenated blood comes to the alveoli, and from alveoli oxygen goes to the blood. So alveoli is a area from where the exchange of gases occur. Now imagine if these sac-like structures, they are filled up with fluid, they are filled up with pus. This transaction of the gases reduces. This is actually the infection. What are the different mode of spreading? It is by inhaling droplets from an infected person or sharing a glass or a utensil with an infected person. Now how does this happen? Basically, the person who is having pneumonia, the person coughs, the person sneezes. Now, when a person is coughing or sneezing, some amount of the saliva or some amount of the sputum from the mouth comes outside. And these sputum and a little droplets of saliva, they are there in the atmosphere for it can stay in the atmosphere for many hours. And if a healthy person comes in contact with those infected person's droplets hanging in the atmosphere and inhales it, so that droplet containing the bacteria goes inside the body of the healthy person, and the target organ will be the alveoli of the healthy person. Similar thing can also happen if a person has coughed, some amount of saliva or sputum has fallen on the other articles or the objects lying nearby the infected person, and the healthy person touches those objects, and again that person touches the nose or mouth involuntarily, then also the entry of the bacteria is possible. So this is a kind of a airborne disease. It gets transferred from an infected person to a healthy person very fast through air. And what can be the symptoms? Initially, the patient will have coughing. When the situation will aggravate, the person will start having chills. The person will start feeling cold. Fever will be very high. Definitely headache will be there, and in last stages, if it is not cured, lips and fingernails will start turning grey or bluish in color. Now why this thing will happen? Because I just said alveoli are the areas where exchange of gases will occur. So if alveoli is filled with fluid, the oxygen is not going into the blood. And when we talk about nails or lips, they are the extreme parts of the body. So blood supply carrying oxygen to these extreme parts of the body will be reduced, resulting into gray color of the body. But this will happen at the very latest stage when the person is infected by the bacteria. A little representation through the pictorial way. See, once the person inhales, it goes down to the larynx area, trachea, it goes inside, and then through the bronchi, the division, bronchioles will be there. You can see bronchioles, and each bronchioles will end up into sac-like structure, which is called as alveoli, and the air space of the alveoli, which is very much needed for the exchange of gases, gets filled up with the mucus. And once the mucus gets filled up, the inflammation of the alveolar wall will occur and the exchange of gases will be reduced. Just a little brief thing that there are nearly 4 stages of the infection in case of pneumonia. First one is called as consolidation stage. Second one is called as red hepatization. Third is gray hepatization. And fourth one is called as resolution. In all these 3 stages, step by step, first the mucus formation will be occurring because of the defense mechanism of the body. Then second, the fibers will be formed in the alveoli. Third, more congestion will happen in the blood vessels along with many other symptoms. And fourth, it might happen that the restoration of the alveolar architecture might happen. So these are some 4 stages of the alveoli. What are some symptoms? Again repeating it: sneezing, sneezing and running nose, cough, lot of sputum, sore throat, chest pain, fatigued, and gray or blue skin color. The world is also is very cautious about it, and November 12th is considered as World Pneumonia Day. Now we are having lot of antibiotics with us if it is a bacterial infection, but till today many small children which are below 5 years, they get infected by pneumonia, and that lead to the death of the small children. Because bigger, as we become big, we have capacity to fight against it, but small children, they get the alveoli of their body can get congested, and because of that they will have breathlessness problem, and because of that it might again lead to a death. Though we have medicines available, but that should be administered on the small children as fast as possible. So this is a type of an infectious disease. Another disease which we are taking today is a very common disease, common cold and cough. Now this particular disease is viral disease, and most of us have gone through it and have got infected, and we know the symptoms, we know the remedies, we know the condition when it infects us. This cold and cough is given to us, or the infecting organ, causing organ for the organisms for the cold and cough is rhinoviruses. It's a group of viruses. There are many types of rhinoviruses which are there, and these viruses, they infect the upper respiratory tract. Now what is this upper respiratory tract? Meaning pharynx, larynx. They will not infect lungs. They will not go inside bronchi or bronchioles. If it is bronchioles, then the disease is called as bronchitis. Common cold is a disease which occurs the upper respiratory tract of the body, and this particular virus, once it goes inside the body, it starts causing inflammation to the mucus lining of the upper respiratory tract. I think most of you have experienced when we start having cold and cough, the internal nostrils, the nostril area, the pharynx area starts getting that itchy kind of sensation. A little pain is there, and a lot of fluid formations is there. Exactly, these are the symptoms of the cold and cough. One is nasal congestion, that is, we'll have stuffy nose, and you feel like that the nose is like blocked by something, you are not able to breathe through nose. sore throat, you will be having pain in the throat. Whatever things we want to drink or eat, even in that time also you feel some like no pain is there, you cannot inhale it and you cannot swallow the things happening. Hoarseness of the voice, it will be difficult in speaking once the normal tone of the voice, the normal sweetness or the pace of the voice will be lost, because it's again an upper respiratory tract, so our larynx also comes into it. Coughing is there, and headache and tiredness of the body, because once an infection comes to our body is fighting against it, so it is utilizing all the energy of the body in fighting against that microorganism. Now, how does it spread? Again, cold and cough is a droplet infection. Same thing as pneumonia. When a person sneezes or coughs, droplets are there, and because of that, it is present in the atmosphere. So, if a person is having cold and cough, and another healthy person sits next to the person who is having cold and cough and inhales the same air, the microorganisms gets transferred to them. Another one is smearing of nasal secretion, contaminated food. If a person is having cold and cough and you are sharing a food with that person, you are sharing a cup of coffee or some food or something to eat, the same hands with the person is putting in his mouth and you are also putting the same food in your mouth, the transfer of the microorganism will be occurring. Sharing of the contaminated object, very true. If a person is sneezing in a towel and you are using the same towel, again the problem will be there. So it's a kind of a infectious diseases. What are the preventive measures? Now, when we talk about cold and cough, a proper decent hygiene, that is only the preventive measure. And cold and cough is a kind of a medicine which is not going cold and cough is not a kind of a disease which is going to kill us, but we can prevent it with good personal hygiene. For example, washing our hands with soap frequently, keeping fingers out of the eyes and nose. Sneezing and coughing should be done in a tissue. Good nutritional supplements, vitamin A, C, and zinc, because these are the elements which are very much useful in developing the antibodies in the body, creating an immunity against the pathogens. Avoid having cold sufferers cough and sneeze on you and in your direction. If someone is sneezing in front of you, ask the person to use a hanky, or ask the person to go and sneeze in other direction rather than sneezing on your face. That is a common sense thing which everyone should follow. Wearing a mask, having a healthy habit, do exercise at least 3 times a week. Exercise increases the blood flow in the body, thus increasing the flow of the antibodies in the body, and the fighting ability of the body also increases. Have a balanced diet and have good rest, because while our body is resting, we all know that our body is repairing itself. That is why you all must have felt whenever you had cold and cough, you feel like lying down, you feel like sleeping for some time, because your body needs rest so that it can repair itself, it can fight with the microorganism. So these are some simple preventive measures for against cold and cough. And nowadays when we talk about such kind of preventive measures, again and again in every session of mine I'm telling we should practice it, because just now we are studying about diseases, but all these things are very very applicable when we are taking under consideration today's scenario of COVID-19. I think these are all things which are also talked about when anyone talks on the media that you have to prevent it. These are the hygienic rules which everyone should follow. So this is another type of